need no kids for my Hussein or my Ferrari. Don't need no kids for my Hussein or my Bugatti. Push the button, push the button, push the button.
What's good, Wayne gang? It's your boy Wayne from EVOLVEWITHWAYNE, and I am back with more heat. I got my pops on the line. Normally, I'd be like, you know what? We're going to stick to every Wednesday. But like I told you in my previous vehicle, I defy all odds. I do not listen to rules, and I do what I want. So I brought him in on a Tuesday, and we are going to talk sports. Now, my Browns had a bye week. So now you guys get to hear us talk about sports outside of my beloved Cleveland Browns, his beloved Cleveland Browns.
We still want to talk about them a little bit because they got a lot of help this last week. Even though they didn't play, a lot of the AFC North teams lost outside of Pittsburgh. So thank y'all, Pittsburgh, for helping us out.
So now you know what is be tuned in this video. Once again, I am Wayne from EVOLVEWITHWAYNE. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. Also, I am doing a giveaway. I announced it. If you have not watched last video that I posted, watch it now. Go back, watch that video because you have to comment Wayne Gang in order to be in the drawing for my surprise, which is a giveaway, which is my Apple TV, right? I am giving away an Apple TV, you guys, 6 days now from today. Today is Tuesday. Next Monday at 10 a.m., I will be giving away a 4K Apple TV, but you have to comment Wayne Gang on my last video. Do not forget that I will be dropping it, and I will also have a surprise for you tomorrow because, once again, I told you that I would have another surprise for y'all coming up, so stay tuned for it. My pops is on the line. I got a couple questions for you. I got you on here for a reason.
What's that?
All right, so I'm looking at all of these scores, and some of them are just crazy to me. The Bengals lost, right? So the Bengals lost. They were, if I'm not mistaken, leading our division or up there with Baltimore. The Steelers lost. The Steelers won. The Steelers won against Baltimore, which then dropped there. But the Steelers been mediocre all year. So how are you feeling about where we stand currently?
At this present time, we will have to go 4-1 and win the division. Because of the way we played earlier this season, the Browns will not have the benefit of a lot of tiebreakers. So in order for them to really make it to the playoffs and control their own destiny, they will have to beat Baltimore coming up next week, Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football, and then week 18, they will have to beat Cincinnati. And then we also have Vegas, the Vegas Raiders. We play them. They come to town. We play them. The only one we can really afford to lose, and you really don't want to lose that one, would be Christmas Day against Green Bay. The reason why that one wouldn't hurt us real bad is because they're an NFC team. Right now, we need to win all the AFC games we can, and 4 out of the last 5 are AFC opponents.
Okay, so do you think that we can take on A-Rod and his Packers on Christmas Day for what I would consider a Christmas miracle?
I want to. It's up in the air. We put it like that because if it all hinges on our quarterback. If our defense comes out and play the way they've been playing and keep the game manageable, if we had good quarterback play, I'd be like, yeah, I feel more comfortable. But I'm not one of those people to be like, well, last year, the last 10 games of the season, they did X, Y, and Z. That was last year. I'm going off this year. And I just don't have a strong feeling about it because of our quarterback play. Now the narrative then changed to where before Odell Beckham had left, it was he was running his own routes. I don't know how that came about, but now 3 weeks later, we're talking about we don't have a receiver that can get open. I'm baffled by this narrative that's been tossed around and how they think that we're going to strive as a team. Because like I've been telling you, since the Odell Beckham situation, the locker room has been divided. And I don't think a lot of the players on the team really feel as though Baker is the person he say he is. And that can be a part of why it's inconsistent play because, of course, they're professionals, so they're going to play ball. But it's different when you have somebody under center that you believe that can win you the games. You know, it kind of galvanize you and pull people together. Right now, they're too fractured.
Okay, and I do remember you calling me minutes after OBJ was out of here. He was out of Cleveland. You called me minutes, and we had a conversation about it for a nice little time, you know. So let me ask you this. If the world aligns correctly and Baker goes down, do you think that if Case comes in, we would have a better chance at being in the playoffs than we do with Baker?
I thought after the Denver game, if they would have went ahead and ran with Keenum, that would have two things would have happened. They would allow Baker to rest and probably, you know, whatever ailments he has, because as we see, Andrew Berry don't believe that the injuries are that much of a problem that he can't play ball. You know what I mean? So we can't keep using his shoulder, his knee, his ankle, his heel. We can't keep using those as an excuse to why his performance is the way it is. Unlike other people, I'm not wanting to make any excuses. You know, I'm one of those straightforward, what are you doing? And up to this point, we never had a complete team like we have right now. We've always had journeymen. We always had free agents. We always had sprinkled in with a couple rookies that we drafted that we was taking big swings on and never panned out. Just one of the few times in Browns history that they had the talent that they do. The last time I seen them have talent like this was in the 80s, where they had a quarterback. So you felt a lot better when you was down 7 points with 4 minutes to go, that you was going to make that drive to either score or get yourself in position to win the game. I just don't have that same kind of feeling nowadays with this quarterback that we have. And I can care less what he did last year. Is what are you doing right now?
Respectable.
Yeah. So if they would have went with him after the Denver game and had him played Detroit, which he could have very easily beat Detroit, I think we would have seen a better product on the field. One, because he's not injured. Two, he would have had confidence and he would have had game time, building up to where we are now, and the defense would have played the same way, and he could have did it. He did it in Minnesota under Stefanski. So I believe he would have gave us a good chance. As far as him winning a Super Bowl and something like, it would have to be catching lightning in a bottle. But I believe he could have helped us get to the playoffs, because the couple games we dropped, we wouldn't have dropped, or it was a good chance we wouldn't have dropped, because we only needed 2 touchdowns in order to win some of these games, and I'm pretty sure he could have did that.
Okay. I can agree with that. I just had to throw away, a little bit of devil's advocate, because as I was watching some of these games this week, man, I kept seeing Baker commercials. Now, the guy didn't look injured on any of these commercials, so I'm trying to figure out where he's getting all the time to live at the stadium and be with Bernie Kosar, in a stadium talking about his age and whatnot, but we ain't winning football games. But
well, they shot a lot of these commercials in the off season.
Okay.
So when I did my research and look back, it's not he's taking time out of the season to do it. They shot a number of them in the off season. What they was banking on, what Progressive was banking on, is that with him being a number one draft pick, that he will play up to a certain level. And if you do that in Cleveland, you're put up on a pedestal because there's been so many quarterbacks that we done went through. To have one that can, constantly get us in the playoffs or win us games was something that they was banking on. They didn't see this coming, but they wasn't going to pull the commercials. Why wouldn't it? Right now, Baker Mayfield's name is being talked about on every sports show, whether good or bad, because it's like half the people believe he's average at best. Other people believe he is doing exactly what he's supposed to do. It all depends on what how you perceive the game, and what are you looking for. Me, I think he's average at best. He needs everything around him to be perfect for him to strive. If any team comes up and they take away our running game and put the game on his back, we're done.
I can feel that. You probably give him a little bit more credit than I would at this point. I had him on my fantasy team, and at this point, he's no better than the third string. I mean, no. I'd almost rather Mason Rudolph come start for us than have Baker Mayfield. So,
because you know what happened was when he got drafted number one, remember how they said that one of the things that pushed him over the top was he was able to bring the team together. You know what I mean? Like at Oklahoma, they believed in. You see what I'm saying? So that the attribute or that quality that he had could have been a big positive in Cleveland when you're trying to change a culture, when you're trying to re-resonate a organization like Cleveland. So if you notice the last couple of years, all the little dirt that he did, they just kept sweeping up under the rug. You know what I mean? Like him calling out Hugh Jackson, him talking about Duke Johnson's contract, him throwing the medical staff up under the bus. See, his hands is not clean. So, they was able to push that up under the rug, and not really hold him accountable for it. What happened was now in that locker room, since the players not only looked up to Odell, but knew he still could play, football, that he gave him a good chance. They felt that he gave him a good chance of winning. When all this came about, somebody had to answer for it. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that they could sweep this under the rug because it was a national story that made, ESPN prime time. But a lot of the players in the locker room didn't know this was going down. They kept it hush hush, but they could never figure out why would the Browns or up the office get rid of a talent like that when, if they stay true to what they were saying, they was all supposed to be family. You see what I'm saying? Right. But when they made that move, it contradicted everything that they had said or sold to the players, because a lot of them, did side with Odell because they couldn't figure out why was he only getting 1 or 2 passes a game, whether that be because of Baker or Stefanski. I think it's more lays on Baker because he's the one with the ball in his hand every snap. So if you have a player like that and you need someone to beat coverage, you had a person.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? He just didn't use him because Odell was an icon. Baker wants to be an icon. So, and in our neighborhood where we grew up from, we call him a wannabe.
I get that. we're going to switch topics a little bit because I promise y'all we wasn't going to beat y'all's ears on Brown stuff because that is to come after the game. But
Yes.
a perfect time to switch is Odell is now injured for the Rams. And they won against the Jags, which isn't a hard task to do, 37-7. Now, there's been talks that Cooper Kupp is more happy now that Odell is out with the injury. Do you think that maybe Cooper Kupp will get more touches? Do you think that he's going to feel better now that OBJ is out, or do you think that he'd rather him be there?
I think he'd rather him be there because Cooper Kupp is going to get his targets anyway.
Right.
You know, him and Stafford has a rapport because right now, in the standing or the stats, you have Cooper Kupp as the leading receiver. So he's leading all receivers with 1,366 yards. You know, and then remember that they had the other receiver go down before they signed Odell. So you can't have one receiver and don't have, no other pieces because then they will start to bracketing or, play over under on him. And that will cut down on some of his targets. So I think Odell, what the problem was Odell was new to that system. So he had to find his niche and what he did. See, this whole narrative that you have to get Odell the ball, no, you feel obligated to get Odell the ball because he's that talented.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think he would much rather have him there because every good wide receiver would like to have a running mate because it takes some of the pressure off of him. Now, one thing I did hear was Devontae Adams out of Green Bay have beef with Odell because Odell didn't come to Green Bay.
I see what I'm saying? I see
that in itself tells you how the other players in the league see Odell. Because if Odell was his bum and his career was over with, would no one be concerned about him coming there and signing?
Right. And Devontae Adams kind of made it as a joke. So he kind of posted it, as a joke, but you could tell there was some truth behind it, right? I mean, every joke has a bit of truth in it. So he was like, Odell asked me for his jersey. I told him to go to Cooper Kupp, right? And when you actually, layer that down, I feel like he was a little bit, salty and disturbed that he didn't go be, with Aaron Rodgers and things like that in Green Bay. I really don't. I think, and I have a couple people that I know that are Rams fans, and they were morbidly, to say the least, disturbed that OBJ was now in their system because he carries the stigma of being a diva, of being, this person that nobody wants and things like that. So like the locker room knows who he is as a person, but then these fans, they're only looking at, media coverage and things like that. So whatever the media spins into, being against him, that's what they're thinking of. I think Odell could be successful. I think personally, I think he probably needs to focus more on his, I don't know, he needs to be on more of a like, okay, I'm a multi-millionaire. Let me invest back into myself and work on my body. I don't think that he should be getting as injured as he does because now it's coming into an every season type of injury that is, reoccurring. But you can say that for just about anybody in the league. So
you can. But you have to understand, you got to give him time because he was playing in Cleveland injured. See, everybody was talking about Baker being injured. Very few people talked about Odell being on the field injured. Remember, he had something wrong with his shoulder, and he had just came back from having surgery in the off season.
Right.
So, he was playing injured, and he was trying to prove not only to the fans or to the league, but to himself that he could play. That's why he stayed on there. I think that's what helped fuel some of the frustration he had in Cleveland because he did rehab to come back in order to be a decoy. You know what I mean? Not be used as a valuable piece to the offense. And that's what, any receiver, especially if you consider yourself an alpha or a superstar, which he, has been labeled great. So it would be frustrating if you get in there and they only throw you the ball twice in the whole game, and then you have somebody like Devontae Adams who's getting targeted 18 times in a game. Whether he drops the ball or catch it, they still go back to him. You see what I'm saying? Because if you remember, every receiver believe they open.
Right. I mean, every single time. All right. So we're going to talk more about Odell because I got a lot of things I want to say, but I do want to get through these scores. Okay. So Cowboys Saints, right? Cowboys have been looking good. If I'm not mistaken, they have one of the best, or they have the best offense in the red zone from my understanding, as far as what I've seen or what I've heard. They played the Saints. Now they played the Saints with a backup quarterback and Tyson Hill. So early in the game, I want to say it was second quarter, I believe Tyson Hill messed up his finger. He had a middle finger jam on somebody's bicep or tricep. He had a split. Now, he ran all over the Cowboys defense, but he could not complete a pass to save his life. I mean, I know you have the exact numbers on exactly what he did. I want to say he was almost at 10 yards a carry rushing, but as far as passing goes, it was astronomical. It was terrible. So
he was 19. He was 19 for 41 for 264 yards, 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions for a QB rating of 44.2. Now, that's not going to get it done, especially for New Orleans, where they came from. Drew Brees just retired last year. Jameis Winston, he won the starting job, but he got injured early in the year. Me personally, I would have stayed with the quarterback they had before Tyson. He might not have all the attributes that Tyson might have, but as far as passing and throwing the ball, Tyson don't have it in between the ears. He's more of a runner. If you want to use him as a third running back, then he's good. But as far as passing, he hasn't shown in the last 2 years that he can move an offense passing. If they move the chain just because of his feet, like you said, he rushed 11 times for 101 yards for an average of 9.2.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, he still had more yards in the air than his competitor, Dak. Right?
Yeah, and that's where the numbers get misconstrued, because sometimes you can have more passing yards than your opponent, but not be efficient enough in those passing yards. Sometimes it can be a screen pass that goes for 70-something yards that you really didn't have nothing to do with, but throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So Dak Prescott went 26 for 40 for 238 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. His QB rating was 79 even. So it seems like Dak Prescott had more efficiency throwing the ball. This is why he had less yards, but they was able to still put up points because they really didn't have a rushing attack. No one really, did anything. They went over 100 and something yards rushing, but Tony Pollard had 71. Zeke, he had 45. And with a reverse, you had CeeDee Lamb. He had 33 yards on a reverse.
I did watch a play by CeeDee Lamb that put one of the Saints defenders on ice skates. I mean, it looked like he was in a rink. He ran into the house. And that was actually a short pass by Dak, which is why I'm slightly disappointed, because before Dak got injured, and I know you're not big into what happened last season and things like that, but Dak wore all of the weight on his shoulders last season. I mean,
Yeah.
Zeke went out and he was throwing 500 yards plus a game. I mean, they lost to us. We got the early jump on him last season, but he still had 400 plus yards on, his passing. So Dak is a supreme quarterback. Do you think that the Saints defense is good enough to minimize that, which is why he only had 230 yards, passing? Or do you think that it was just a bad day for him?
No, I don't think it was a bad day. Sometimes you got to think McCarthy is the head coach calls a different game. You know what I mean? He's one of those coaches that he will go 50 run, 50 pass, 50% either way if it meant, keeping the game balance and the defense off tilt. So I think it was more of that than him having a bad day, because they didn't need him to throw for 500 yards in order for him to stay in the game. They just needed him to, move the ball. And then with Tyson Hill running, they really wasn't on the field probably as much as they normally will be or would have been if the defense was getting a lot of 3 and outs. Because anytime you run the ball in a manner that Tyson did and you move the chains, you keep the opposing offense off the field for a period of time. So, it could be he was cold, or they just called a different type of game where they didn't need that to throw for 500.
I can respect that. Now, so we got that score out the way. That was the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
That was Thursday night game. We're going to skip past the Colts and the Texans slightly. I don't really care about the score because this is the Texans. But the Texans losing took them as a guarantee out of the playoffs. How do you feel about the Texans being the first team to be eliminated from the playoff contention and not the Lions, who are 1-9-1?
Well, I think they was just you can't say Houston is the only team that's eliminated. We all know that Detroit is eliminated. They have no way of getting into it. As far as Houston, they had the same record as Jacksonville. So how come Jacksonville is not considered technically eliminated? I wonder if it has something to do with the schedule that they have left. The possibility that they can probably win. Well, you can't even say they win a division, because both of them in the same division with a 2-10 record. So right now, Tennessee is 8-4. The Colts are 7-6. Jacksonville literally has no division wins. They're 0-3 in the division, where Houston is 2-2. So if anyone would technically be eliminated, would probably be Jacksonville. I think it just makes for a bigger story in Houston because of the turmoil that they have at quarterback. So it makes it easier. It's an easier story to sell in Houston. I guess they don't want to put that kind of pressure or slight the first draft pick in Jacksonville, but they're technically out of it.
I can respect that. I just want to know your take on it, because the Texans haven't traditionally been a bad team. I mean, right, you got Jacksonville that were fighting for last with the Jets last year in order to be able to get, that first draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. So,
right.
And then they got Urban Meyer as head coach, and then he had his scandals earlier this year, in Ohio, which is our neck of the woods. And, I mean, he was just being human, but...
Let me ask you a question. Don't you think it's kind of funny that Urban Meyer, having that first pick, didn't even think about getting Justin Fields, and he spent 2 years with him at Ohio State?
I think that was foul. And I think he had different motives. If I'm not mistaken, they picked up Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they picked up Trevor Lawrence. From what we have seen out of Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he was a beast. I don't know if for Urban Meyer it came down to not only chemistry, but just, what he was capable of, right? Because Clemson did beat us. So I mean, I don't know exactly what Urban Meyer's thoughts on it was. I think that Justin Fields would have been a good fit with Urban Meyer, given the fact that they know each other, they've dealt with each other at the college level, and now they're both making that leap to the NFL level. So it only seems right that he should have got Justin Fields. I felt like that was a sense of disloyalty on Urban Meyer, but then again, with the whole scandal that got him out of Ohio State to begin with, I really don't know what his motives was, right? I mean, I don't know exactly what transpired or what his vendetta is against Fields. I don't know if he thought he wasn't capable being at the, NFL level, but I know that some might argue that Urban Meyer wasn't ready for the NFL level. I mean, yeah, you were good and you had a great record, college level, but we all know that the NFL was a different beast. So they were both making that leap. I would have liked them to make it together, especially because I'm in Florida. So at least I could have go watch Jay Fields, in Jacksonville,
Right.
which is about an hour from me play, but he in Chicago. So I don't know what Urban Meyer's thought process on that was. I don't know if he even had control over it or if
that's what I was kind of wondering if the ownership, decided they wanted Lawrence, one, because he was the number one high school quarterback. Then he was, number one in college. That, I guess it would make sense if it was another coach that got that job in Jacksonville.
Right.
But if you are Urban Meyer and you had Justin Fields for the last 2 years and you seen firsthand what he could do, it just, outside of it being the head office making this decision, I would have thought that, Justin would have, crept up there, especially the way he played ball.
Right. And I agree with you on that one. It might have just been out of his control. It might have been something that he just couldn't control. I mean, I don't know that he actually had the power to be able to do that.
Okay.
Let's see
Now,
here. Go ahead, because I'm not.
Now, because so what is your take on the Pittsburgh game?
Yikes.
Now, me, I don't, neither team I don't like. Didn't have a dog in the fight. I do like the fact that Pittsburgh winning did open up our division a little bit for us.
I did. I think that the Baltimore Ravens may be imploding more than we are present day. I think I said it in the last sports talk that we had. Our division may be the biggest fluke known to mankind. We all got decent records. We all got potential to make it into the playoffs, but we all lose games that we should not lose.
Right.
I mean, you see Baltimore, you see Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't even have a dog in the fight for a Pittsburgh game. I mean, outside of their, the defense, predominantly the Watt brother, they really don't got much going for them. Big Ben, it's about the time of year for Big Ben to start throwing his interceptions. And I called it against the Bengals when I watched that game last week in week 12. I was like, it's week 12. Now was about the time where Big Ben starts averaging 4 interceptions a game for the rest of the season. It's been like that for a few years now. I mean, Last year, they went 11-0, and then had arguably the worst end to a season that any other team in NFL had. So Big Ben is only good for so long, which is why he actually announced that there's rumors, there's words going around saying that this is his last season.
Right.
But do I think Big Ben should have beat Lamar Jackson? No, I have mad respect for Lamar Jackson. And as far as I'm concerned, so does the rest of NFL, right? They played us last week. Myles Garrett had him, dapped him up and congratulated him. In the Steelers game against the Ravens, the defenders was helping Lamar Jackson up after they tackled him, right? So everybody has respect for him. And he's a good player, but they're also crippled right now because a lot of their players are out. A lot of their players can't make plays happen. I mean, right now, it just literally rests on Lamar. If he can't use his legs or throw the ball, then they kind of just don't have anything, right?
Lamar left the game injured. Well, he didn't leave out the game injured, but you could tell in that last drive that he was hurt.
Right.
He was limping. So I wonder how good he's going to be for next week's game.
I think, and this is my prediction because we got to talk about this before we wrap up here tonight anyways, I think we are going to beat the Ravens for the simple fact that we had a week to rest. We already had all of our defense coming back last week, right? So if our defense, now to my knowledge, none of them got injured, right? We lost Conklin on offense as far as, the last Baltimore game goes. And he's probably out.
We don't have Njoku this week. He's out because of COVID.
We don't have Njoku, but I mean,
we don't have Bryant. So we're down 2 tight ends. They just signed the tight end off the practice squad, but he's been preseason. He couldn't catch a cold. So unless they throw him unless they throw him a COVID ball, the vaccine, I don't know what's going to happen because, we like to run that 13 personnel. And if we don't have 3 tight ends that can run it, I mean, and then you have to think about certain teams like Pittsburgh and Baltimore have it embedded in their DNA that they are not going to lose to Cleveland. So we can throw the record out the window that when it comes time to play in that game, they know that if they get physical with the Browns, it's a good chance that the Browns ain't going to swing back. That's the problem that I feel I'm going to have is that even though they're injured, it's still a mentality that they have going into the game that they refuse to lose to us. And until we change that narrative, I don't see how it's going to change. Baker is no better. I don't think he's no better now than he was before. Everybody said the week healed him or made him feel better. I never thought he was really injured. I think a lot of it's between the ears because half the team don't believe in him no more, and he's starting to hear people on sports talk about him, and he's starting to read the clippings that his numbers is just average. He's in the bottom percentile of quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
I can agree with that. Now, I do believe that last year we have somewhat, in a way, started to change the narrative on these division games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we beat Bengals this year, but last year we played Steelers back-to-back. So we played them the last game of the season. We also played them the first game of the playoffs, which we played the first game of the playoffs without our head coach and completely obliterated them. That goes into how our division typically, when they win so many games and when they're doing so good throughout the season, towards the end of the year, they start to let up. And that's where we get the edge. If you give us a chance to do it, we will do it. Right. I mean, and then it's a division game. So you factor in, like, for instance, the Lions, if I'm not mistaken, the Lions beat the Vikings and if I'm not mistaken, they're in the same division, right?
Right.
The Lions were winless, but it was that division game. So at that point, it becomes any given Sunday, right? Anything can happen. We lost to Baltimore in Baltimore last week. We got a rest. Baltimore is now coming off of their second division game, going into their third in just as many weeks. So you got us, Steelers, us, right? Meanwhile, we got time to rest. Now, the tight end fiasco and people being out and things like that may work in our favor because it'll force either Baker or Stefanski, one of the two, to either use our running backs or use our wide receivers, right? In which case, we're in a good position using either one of those threats because historically speaking this season, Baker has not thrown to our wide receivers. He's thrown the tight end. So now that he has no tight ends to throw to, you either got to give the ball to Chubb, Hunt, or throw it to Landry, Higgins, or DPJ.
But do you know the messed up part about it, son, is Baltimore's secondary ranks damn near 25th in passing. They're at the bottom of the league in the secondary, and we still could not move the ball on them. We had their words, we have no deep threat. We have no one that scares the defense. Any other quarterback can take what they have, the talent they have around them, and either throw them open, hit them when they get open. It's hard for me to believe that we have professional receivers on our team that could not get open on the last game. And then they had Kurt Warner come out with a video showing passes where our receivers couldn't get open, right? He showed 12 passes. Baker threw 35. What happened to the other passes that Baker threw that he didn't break down? You see what I'm saying? It's like this narrative that they want to put out there to take all the accountability off the one person that should have this on his shoulder. You see what I'm saying? Because I watched that whole presentation and I'm like, wow, okay, I can see where you're coming from. But if you don't put that with the whole picture of what's going on, yeah, I could show you 12 passes where no one got open. But what about the other 24 when they did get open and he didn't make the right throw, or he tried to do something he couldn't do? Because even when I was watching, he was breaking it down. He doubled, it's like he pumps the ball before he throws it.
Right.
Like he already has his mind made up where he going with the ball. Because a couple times that I seen when they broke it down, if he would have went to a second read, that guy was open. The first guy probably wasn't, but the second guy was. Right. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at it, and that's why I said it all depends on how you look at it. Some people believe like Baker didn't do no wrong. Other people believe Baker's all wrong. You see what I'm saying?
And I'm one of those people. I think that Baker is all wrong. I just think that when it aligns to the fact that 3 division games for Baltimore and the fact that we're at home, which may not work for Baker, but it works for our team, right? I mean, Baker at this point is not a part of our team. Baker is Baker and the Browns are the Browns. I mean, he just so happened to be employed by them. At this point, he's an employee. He's not the quarterback. He's just going to show up to work and do what's absolutely necessary. If we play the same exact game that we played against Baltimore in Baltimore, I think we're going to win. Because our players know how to play in our weather, right? So McLaughlin is not going to miss those kicks that he did or that kick that he did, to give us that edge. I think that if Chubb is given the ball or Kareem Hunt is given the rock, given the fact that this is his first home game back, Kareem Hunt is going to ball out. You could almost expect that, especially in a divisional game. So I feel like even if we played the same exact ball that we played, just the fact that we're in Cleveland versus Baltimore makes it a big difference as far as our players are concerned as a unit, because our fans are going to root for our players. They may not root for Baker, but they'll root for the rest of the players that we got on our team. So I think that I think that we may edge the win when it comes to Baltimore. They're tired, they're wore out, they're playing nothing but division games, right? And then we don't face, well, let's see, we face, let me see here. We got the Ravens, and then week 15, who do we play week 15? Let me see here.
We got the Ravens, we got the Raiders. Then we got Pittsburgh. We got Green Bay.
And then the Bengals.
Cincinnati.
Then the Bengals. We play the Bengals last. So we have our divisional games kind of sporadic as far as a week-by-week basis, right? Every other week we got a divisional game. I mean, this week we had an off week or a bye week. So now we got to play Baltimore back-to-back. I don't think that we're going to come out and make those. I would hope that we're not going to come out and make those same mistakes as far as Stefanski is concerned. I would like to trust my head coach, and I would like to trust my GM, and I would like to trust all of my coordinators and all of my players, everybody but Baker. I don't want to trust him. I don't need to trust him, right? We have enough weapons. We have enough weapons that if our defense locked down Lamar and their offense how they did last week, they will be able to edge that win.
Yeah, but
just being at home.
How likely is that to happen? Because just like we're going to make adjustments, Baltimore's going to make adjustments. You know what I mean? And anytime you hear people talk about a team that is a playoff caliber team, the first thing they tell you is that they got a quarterback. The quarterback is the X factor.
Right.
That's the only thing that clouds my judgment on this, because I haven't seen enough from Baker except for excuses and his progressive commercials to feel like he's going to do anything.
And Baker he's not our quarterback. We're going to have to figure out what to do with him. I 100% agree with that. I think that more than anything right now, we're not concerned on winning the Super Bowl. We're concerned on inflicting pain. I think that's what we need to do. We need to, you got to start somewhere to be great, right? And this is our road to being great. We have the weapons. We just got to get rid of Baker. Now, how Andrew Berry sees fit on doing that, he's shown me enough to be able to, between him and Dorsey, right? Because Dorsey ended up getting laid off after bringing in a lot of these weapons that we currently got. And actually, we got rid of OBJ, but if I'm not mistaken, Dorsey brought him in. So yeah, I'm not understanding why Dorsey ended up getting let go. As far as, because he did his job. He
also hired Freddie Kitchens. That
true.
That was
and they always say that the negatives tend to overweigh the positives. You could have 100 positive and 1 negative, and that would deplete you so much that it just So I mean, I can stand behind that, but I think that we're going to get rid of Baker. I think that we're going to go ahead and get a new quarterback, and I think that in our future we won't be the same old Browns as most people's Chase Claypool. He talks the most stuff, but I mean, I haven't seen anything out of him this season, right? He got injured on a toe, right? He had a toe injury that almost took him out for the season, but the Browns will be the Browns, right? And now I'm sounding like Shannon Sharp or Colin, right? But, it just, I think that we got a decent chance.
We the only ones that can change that narrative. We the only ones that can do it.
And I gotta leave it in. We have to leave it in the hands of Andrew Berry to let Baker play himself out. He has to exile himself, right?
I have no connections with the office at all, none with the Browns front office. But I'll tell you this: if I know Berry and the way he's been doing things, I think he's gonna go after Deshaun Watson.
And I hope he does. I think
because if he can send Baker there and bring in Deshaun, oh man, we will be good. I think that's the only way we'll be able to get another top tier receiver to even consider coming to Cleveland after the debacle of OBJ. But if you bring him in, we won't be talking about receivers not getting open or our quarterback play. I think we'll have that solved, and we'll still be within that window to make it to the playoffs. even with the new rookies and second-year players they got coming in, because the front office is drafting pretty good. I like what they're bringing in. Like DB, was it Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Right.
All I've been hearing,
Greg Newsome.
Donovan Peoples-Jones. All I've been hearing in the preseason that he came back in excellent shape. He's catching everything thrown to him. Then we get into the regular season,
and they're not throwing it to him. And he was drafted 6th round, but he's another OBJ haven't given the chance, right? He would have already have reached that level had a quarterback been targeting him. Hollywood is another one. I mean, Landry has been in the league for years, right? Just the same amount of years as OBJ, and he's made it to a couple of different, top tier, passes, catches, and things like that. Like, he is more than capable, but we need the quarterback. And I think the fact that the Texans are losing a lot is only going to work in our favor, because that's going to, make us be able to get Deshaun Watson at a little bit less than what we maybe have thought we would get him at. 2, with the pending cases that he got against him, he already can't fight for top dollar, because, how could you when you don't have a leg to stand on? We know what your talent is, but you got a lot of things working against you. You're losing. You don't like your team, right? So we already know that when you don't like your team, you're not going to play for your team. And now we know that you have these cases pending against you, whether they was fiction and just spur the moment, just thrown up to deflate. But whatever, if we can get him and send Baker back home to Texas, that's what we need to do. We're about hour in, so we got to touch on the rest of these scores. I already mentioned the Lions beating the Vikings, which is a shocker to me. The Giants losing to the Dolphins, no surprise there. It's the Giants. New York teams, football-wise, are terrible, right? They just are terrible. So, Buccaneers beat the Falcons 30-17. That's a given. You got Tom Brady at the helm. I may not like the guy, but I respect the guy. He has proven himself to be able to do, whether by inflating balls or deflating balls or otherwise, he is proven to be able to win. Eagles and Jets, that was a scrub match. I really don't.
Backup quarterback came in game for him.
The Eagles and Jets. Yeah. Cardinals, Bears. Cardinals beat the Bears 33-22. I seen that coming. Chargers beat the Bengals 41-22. Given the fact that the Bears just scraped Pittsburgh, who just beat Baltimore, this is when any given Sunday comes in, because I'm not understanding how you can slaughter Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh then beats the Ravens by a point, but they lose by almost 20 points, the Bengals to the Chargers, which the Chargers are a good team. Good for our division. So I'm liking it. I'm all for it. Keep beating them. I'm all for it. Rams and Jaguars 37-7 in the Rams' favor. That's a wash. I knew that was coming. These are things that you could predict.
No,
Washington
over. Yes, that one right there. Washington's doing it quiet.
They beat the Bucks. They beat the Bucks this year.
Yeah.
So they're that quiet assassin, that sneaky, I'm gonna beat you when you think that we're counted out. If you're trying to put us in the same, topic or the same paragraph as your Lions and your Giants and your Eagles and your Jets, and don't do that, because we're going to compete. They lost their name and then gain their players.
Washington is 2 games behind Dallas in the NFC East.
And that is a shocker to me, because I didn't see it coming. I did not see it coming. Last year, they were trying to rebuild throughout the season. The entire season, they was letting people go, picking people up, doing all of this. And now they not only beat the Bucks, But if they beat the Raiders, the Raiders, in my opinion, are top contenders for a lot of things. They have faced a lot of adversity this year.
Washington
right?
is a wild card right now.
And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. I
Yeah.
mean, I get, it's crazy. The 49ers beat the Seahawks, the Seahawks beat the 49ers. Last two, Chiefs beat the Broncos 22-9. Patriots beat the Bills. And I've been waiting for this one because shout out to my boy B. He is a die-hard Patriots fan. So I'm happy to see y'all win. Y'all slaughtered us. So at that point, me and you, our friendship is on a different level because y'all beat us, right? Now I gotta hear your mouth about it. Anywho, the Patriots threw three passes the entire game and beat the Bills 14-10. And the Bills are a good team, at least offensively, right? But now it looks like the Bills aren't good offensively or defensively. You let Mac Jones hand the ball off 40 plus times to his very tired running backs and beat y'all.
Yeah, well, that's a Belichick way of winning the game because of the elements. The win, he was trying to protect his quarterback and win games. As you see right now, New England is up there in the playoff hunt. I think they might even be leading their division because them and Bills are in the same division. But that's something that Belichick would do. If you can't stop it, why change it? It's not going to be like that again. You know what I mean? Because you don't never know when it's going to be snowy or wind. But it was funny because they interviewed Belichick and they asked him how was he going to change this game plan for the next time they play? Because I think they play in like 2 weeks. He said, well, we already working on it. He said, something to the extent that, they haven't seen our passing game yet.
Oh, man. Now, I know you want to touch on this because I know your way of thinking, right? I mean, I've been alive 26 years and I've known you for 26 years. I mean, obviously, so you're my father. So do you think that last year Belichick intentionally did not use Cam in order to make Mac his new Tom?
Ooh, putting it like that, I always told you I didn't think they used Cam the right way last year. They used him more as a running back than a quarterback. I didn't really make that connection, them using him to almost tank games in order to get in that position. Because normally Belichick don't draft quarterbacks in the first round. Normally he don't. But him and Saban are real cool. So, it wouldn't have been no problem for Nick Saban to be like, look, if I was you, I'll take a chance at this kid. Y'all see what y'all did, with Tom Brady. I ain't saying he's Tom Brady, but he can give you the same kind of game. Y'all can run the same kind of game plan with him that y'all did with Tom. And if that's the case, and which is panning out right now, we don't know if he's going to have a sophomore slump or how it's going to be after this season. But at this point right now, this kid is balling. And if you notice that Patriots are playing the same way they played when Tom was there, tough-nosed defense and just efficient offense. And he's doing exactly what they asked him to do. But it is a different style of football from last year to this year. I just never thought about them using Cam to take, because now we don't look bad on Belichick. It looks more of a Cam problem than a Patriots or a Belichick problem in doing that. That's a good question, sir.
And I agree with that. I almost feel like they picked up Cam as a filler, right? He was a household name. So they picked him up. Oh, what is Cam going to do? He did nothing. They sent him back to the team he came from and then put him back. And now they can use their running backs, which Patriots may not have good running backs, but somehow they look good because of the way Belichick calls his offense. And I think Mac is the new age Tom in the way, not of skill yet. I haven't seen enough to say that he's a Tom Brady.
Right, but he has that potential.
He does, and he also has the potential to be puppetized by Belichick.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future to become a Tom, right? I mean, there's a reason why Tom didn't leave New England until 20 years in, right? I mean, he brought him a Super Bowl. He brought Tampa Bay a Super Bowl, so I'm not taking anything away from Tom.
He brought him 7 of them motherfuckers.
Right. So I feel like as much as Belichick,
he brought 6 of them.
6, and his 7 was with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But just as much as I think Belichick used Tom to be great, it's just as much as Tom used Belichick. He soaked in all of that knowledge. I say almost every video, one is not too old to learn, right? Tom learned what those were, what those, those play calls were, who he needed. And as it boils down, he only needed his tight end to bring a Super Bowl to Tampa Bay. So, he brought Gronk out of retirement. So I think that Mac Jones will be in the league for a long time. Well, just as long as Belichick can give him information and puppetize him with the strings. Because leave it to Belichick, he will keep Mac Jones healthy, right? He will call the right plays to keep him healthy to make his tenure in the NFL be long and be great. And I think Mac Jones will be successful at it. I did not see it coming at the beginning of the season. Yeah. I did not see the Patriots being, 8-4?
I didn't see them being this good. I did see them. Let me put it this way. I did see a resurgence of the team because watching Mac Jones in college, I knew once he got to New England, he got in that system, that they was going to do everything they could to make him succeed. You know what I mean? As long as he had the talent to do it. I'm just baffled that at this point in time, that with all the defenses in the NFL, usually halfway through the year, they find something about that quarterback that they can use to their advantage on defense. And to this point, a lot of defenses haven't done anything to, derail him or take him off his square, which, is good for him because it shows that he's a bona fide baller. But he has the puppet master and that organization behind him. And, the sky's is the limit. They just plugged him in. And I think it's foul how they got rid of Cam Newton because he didn't take the shot and he was unavailable. I think that was just a reason to get him out of there and save face, but, take some of the heat off because at that time or this present time, if you don't, it's either you vaccinated or you're not vaccinated. And if you're an athlete and you're not vaccinated, that means you're not going by the good old boys program. So it's easier for us to say, okay, well, you violated our protocol. It's just funny to me that you don't catch COVID in the football game, but as soon as you go to the locker room or get in your car, you got it.
I can respect that. And that is where I am going to put a peg in it until our next episode, because we can talk football for days. Yes. Literally days. I will say, before I wrap this up, I think Mac Jones will be great. And when I said he was puppetized, I do not mean that as a disrespect. I think he will be a great quarterback.
No, he's put in the best position possible for a rookie, to come out and ball in a league where these are men. You know what I mean? And he fell to the right situation. Sometimes you don't fall to the right team.
Right.
He just happened to fall to it.
So what I think is that we need to do a couple segments breaking down positions. And I mean every position in the league. We could touch on some, not touch on some. Like we might not talk about, your nose guard or your center, right? But we may break down the top positions, the quarterback, the halfback, right? We're in a day and age where we barely even use fullbacks anymore. So we probably won't talk about that. But we'll definitely, just break down these segments and have a segment on these positions. Sit down and do the research and give the people what they want, right? Because I'm coming from a very unbiased yet biased view, right? I'm a Browns fan at heart. If you look at my fantasy league, you will see 98% of my fantasy, which I just lost this past weekend, because everybody is on a bye week for my fantasy league because my Browns are on a bye week. So I'm biased by that standpoint, but I give respect when respect is due. So with that being said, we will be back. Do not miss our sports talk, because there is more heat that's going to be coming to you for the rest of 2021.
Yes, sir.
For all of 2022, the grind does not stop. We are about to get up out of here. We have talked y'all's ears off enough for today. For today.
Yeah.
Right? But this is the end of the video. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Hit that notification bell. And do not forget, I am giving away an Apple TV. I said it at the beginning of the video. I'm saying it again now because I am ready to send it to somebody. Comment Wayne Gang on my last video. You know what? Comment Wayne Gang on all of my videos. The person that subscribes and that comments Wayne Gang on my videos will win this Apple TV Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am your
father in my Darth Vader voice.
I did see your comment. But yeah, this is the end of the video. This is all we got for you today because we gotta save some for next week.
Yeah, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the college football, the top four, Cincinnati against Alabama. We're gonna talk about Georgia against Michigan, and we'll talk and see what side we lay on. You know what I mean?
And I do got some questions about that, so stay tuned because it may be in the next 48 hours that we drop another video about sports. I know I got a lot of sports fans out there, but like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. This is your boy Wayne. I'm with my pops. I'm from Evolve with Wayne. This is the end of the video. I love y'all. I love everybody. Peace.